All right. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here, and welcome to Be Young, Black, and Dope, a powerful gathering where we celebrate, uplift, and acknowledge the brilliance of young Black leaders in our community. Today, we honor those who are not just making a difference, but are shaping the future with their vision and their passion and their resilience. Again, thank you so much for sharing this space with us. My name is Gloria Kwaku, and I serve as the Community Foundation of Tompkins County's Chief Equity Engagement and Grants Officer. I work at the intersection between grant making, community engagement, and DEI. Events and programs like this are the highlight of my job. So I love my job. I love what I do. I love connecting with different folks and individuals. We do want to tell you that at the foundation, we are deeply committed to DEI regardless of the current landscape. It's not as a trend, but as a core value embedded in everything that we do. We recognize that real change happens when we create space like this for diverse voices, empower underrepresented communities, and actively support the leaders of tomorrow, like our panel. Our work is guided by the belief that every young person deserves the opportunity to thrive and that acknowledging and investing in Black excellence is not just necessary, but it is so super long overdue. We are blessed to have in our community so many culture creators and leaders and advocates and beautiful people who love our community and they lead by doing what's right. And I noticed that there is a new wave of movers and shakers coming down the pike. And I wanted to do this program because I wanted to celebrate and acknowledge them. We all know our community elders and we love them. They adore our community. Community elders like Shelly Michelle Nunn, that is mentor, auntie, mommy, all the things. Shelly Michelle Nunn, Leslyn McBean Claiborne, Ken Clark, Laura Bronca, Millie. Millie, I know you're on the call here somewhere. I know I saw your name somewhere. But Millie, all of these beautiful individuals who are our elders and we so look up to. But then there's some new people coming down the pike, right? So we have Courtney, Jess, and we have Omar. New fresh face that's coming out of, and they all just so happen to be coming out of Ithaca College. So Ithaca College, what kind of folks are you guys creating? So I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate who they are and embrace them and show them support in this setting. This event is about more than just a conversation. It's about reflection, action, and inspiration. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors who fought for justice, who paved the way for us to dream bigger and prove that Black leadership is a force of transformation. Today, as we hear from our incredible panelists, let us celebrate not just who they are, but the legacy they are carrying forward. And let us recognize that being young, Black, and dope is not just a statement, it's a movement. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for this moment, for these leaders, for these wonderful and amazing folks, and for the future we're building together. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully my tech will work. Let's see. Boom. There we go. All right, so before we dive into our program, we want to take a moment to acknowledge those who have come before us. We acknowledge the land that we stand on, the history that shapes us, and the ancestors whose sacrifices allow us to be here today. We honor their strength, wisdom, and resilience, knowing that our journey is a continuation of their fight for justice and equity. Community Foundation of Tompkins County is situated on the ancestral homelands of the Gayakono, also known as the Cayuga Nation. The Gayakono are one of the 6 sovereign nations forming the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, with a long-standing presence on this territory that predates the establishment of Community Foundation, New York State, and the United States of America. We acknowledge the painful history of the dispossession experienced by the Gaecono and deeply honor their enduring connection to these lands and waters, spanning both past and present. All right, so the original plan was to have someone sing our Black national anthem, right? So that was the original plan. But everyone that I tried to talk to was like, Gloria, ain't nobody getting on no Zoom singing for you. So I wanted to share I wanted to share this particular spoken word. We know that art is a powerful form of activism. We all know that, storytelling and cultural preservation. Throughout history, Black artists have used their voices, their words, and their creativity to inspire, educate, and challenge the world around them. So today, I wanted to showcase an incredible performance that reflects the spirit of our theme today, being young, Black, and unapologetically dope. Her name is Teresa the Songbird, and her spoken word is called You So Black. So let me know if the sound works, because sometimes, let's see, sometimes, okay.
You so black.
Can y'all hear it?
When you smell, the stars come out.
Can you hear it? Yes or no?
Yes. It's spotty.
Black when it's wrong and black when it's right. Black is pyramids and mathematics. Black is melanized and magic. Black is televised and in need of drastic black advancement. Black enhances, black with chances, black with. Praise the Lord, black and black. Black and so much more, black and nothing less. Black and educated. Black is brilliant. Black is strong. Black is resilient. Black is song. Black is infinite, like hip hop or faith. Black is grace. Black is you. Black is not something we get to choose, but it is something we get to cherish. It's something we get to wear and we get to rock this with honor. I'm black like my granddaddy and my great, 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 great grandma. Black is that lift every voice and sing. Black is that letting your freedom ring and resound. Black is color. So black. The God come out.
Okay. I was told that it was choppy and spotty and it's going in and out, but I've included the link in the chat, so please feel free to check her out. Like, she is something else. It's super, super powerful. And it really struck me. So in the spirit of dopeness, let me move on to the next slide. In the spirit of dopeness, I want to give Emily Jackson, Artistic Director of the Kitchen Theater, just a few minutes to talk about a program on Friday that aligns well with what we are doing here today. So, Emily, are you on?
I am. Hi. Hi,
Okay.
Gloria.
Hi.
Thank you so much, everybody. So happy to be in community with you. And Gloria, thank you for organizing this beautiful event. I'm Emily Jackson. I'm the new producing artistic director at Kitchen Theater Company, who is a community foundation grantee. And I just wanted to personally invite everybody and share with you something that's starting performances tomorrow night, The Brobot Adventure by Darian DeShawn. It is a sci-fi, hip-hop, Afrofuturist celebration of peace, love, and dopeness. Flobot Owens, the legendary android MC, is on a quest for restoring, for kicking out whackness in his planet and restoring peace, love, and dopeness. Darian, I'm sorry he couldn't be here with us, but he is in rehearsal right behind me. He is live beatboxing with tons of great beats and audience participation. It is joyful, it is wacky, it was silly. And I invite you all to join us, see Darian's work, who's been on stage with us at the kitchen before, and really just join in the joy. We would love to have you all. And certainly, if anybody wants to come as a group, we're happy to host a meet and greet, get you all together and do a reception and host Darian with you as well. So that's all for me. But thank you, Gloria, and I hope
Thank
to see you
you.
all at the theater.
Yes, thank you. And you didn't mention the special discount code.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
So yes, the
But I have
special discount
a
code for
$20 ticket
foundation.
for anybody joining this call today.
Perfect. Yes. And if you do want to join us, shoot me an email. And like Emily said, we'll do a special meet and greet with Darian on Friday evening. All right. Thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Gloria.
Of course. All right. Okay. So let's see. So we all know what it means to be young. You may have an idea of what it means to be Black, but do you know what it means to be dope? So I'm going to give you all a minute and I'm going to see if this poll is going to run. Let's see. I'm going to. Yep. So you should have a question in front of you. If someone says, wow, she's dope, what does that mean? So I'll give you about, I don't know, a minute or two to answer that question. Okay, another 30 seconds. Wow, she's dope. What does that mean? All right, answers are still coming in. Okay, okay. All right, so what do we have here? All right, can you see in front of you the results? Super cool, powerful in her energy, cool, on top of things, badass, super cool, impressive. She's someone I want to be like. Yep, that part. Very cool or fresh, cool, awesome, impressive. Straight fire. I love that. Is comfortable in their own skin. I love that too. She is amazing inside and out. Absolutely. Cool and inspiring. Amazing, great, fantastic. All of those wonderful things. So I looked up the word dope in the Urban Dictionary, and this is what they say. Dope is a slang term that means something is cool, awesome, impressive, or excellent. It can describe a person, an object, an experience, or an idea that is stylish, high quality, or admirable. So basically, it literally can be anything. For example, that new album is dope. Your outfit is dope. She's a dope artist. Now, we know that the original name of dope or word to dope had ties to drug culture. And it wasn't exactly um, it wasn't exactly a good thing, right? But it's so much more. Now leave it to Black folks to turn a negative word into something positive. Isn't that right? Let's not talk about the N word, right? Because that's a whole nother thing. But dope to me means deserving of accolades, celebration, and praise. And that is what we are doing here today. So to kick us off, I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker. Shelly Michelle Nunn, Tompkins County's real life community advocate and elder. Her journey is a testament to what it means to lead with purpose and resilience. And we're so excited to hear the wisdom she has to share with us on intergenerational leadership. So, the idea here is to connect our up and coming leaders, so our panelists, with the elders that we know of today. So, welcome, Shelly Michelle Nunn. Take it away.
Hey, thank you, Gloria. I first of all, I just want to say I love how you introduced the young people, the young leaders on this Zoom. I just want to say, as an elder, I'm a baby boomer, that we are so glad to have you here and to have you pick up the mantle. It is just wonderful, and the work that you are doing is amazing and allows some of us to rest. We're confident and we can rest. So I really appreciate that. So I just want to talk a little bit about intergenerational leadership. And the reality today is that
I'm just listening. Okay, so this
we have about five, we do have five generations. And if not our workforce, we certainly have it on if you're volunteering on boards, if you go to church. So basically, everywhere you go, you're interfacing with multi generations. And if you look up the definition of intergenerational leadership, it says a style of leadership that values differences between generations and encourages collaboration, based on the idea that each generation has something to contribute. So it's really the basic principles of diversity and inclusion. When you think about it, this is another um, diverse factor is age. Um, when we talk about the principles of it, the best practices, you're looking at, it's important to recognize the differences, to acknowledge different work styles and values of each gender, encourage cross-generational partnerships, promote continuous learning and knowledge. And I just want to interject quickly an experience that I recently had. Went to a conference with 10 individuals. And when I think back about the group, we had a traditionalist, we had a baby boomer, we had a Gen Xer, we had a millennial, and we had a Gen Z in the group of 10. And it was such a rewarding experience. But personally, um, I was interacting. We were buying food and everything, and some of the young people had their credit cards on their phones, and I was like, how are you doing that? And they were like, you don't use your wallet? And I'm like, what's a wallet? I didn't have a wallet. I didn't know what it was about. But anyway, they were laughing at me, but it was very respectful. And they were very kind to show me how to set up my wallet, which I love. I love having because I always leave I'm always switching bags, so I always leave something. And so now, as long as I have my phone, it doesn't matter because I have my credit cards, I have my driver's license, all on my phone. It's so exciting for me. They were tickled to death, but at the same time, they shared something with me. It's not to say that everybody in my generation doesn't know how to use that because I have friends who are very technically savvy. Um, but it was fun. It was a learning for me. And at the same time, I was able to talk to them about the history of certain things in our community. So we were sharing and adding value. So I really appreciated that experience. The elders were not isolated and left out, even though we didn't necessarily hang out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but we did hang out, we did eat together, and it was really a wonderful experience. So when we talk about intergenerational leadership, we're talking about creating a culture of respect, avoiding stereotypes, and just providing opportunities for mentoring. And the mentoring is both ways. It's young people mentoring the older people and older people mentoring the young people based upon their areas of expertise. Basically, mutual respect. And then when you think about if you're in an environment with multi generations and you don't have those things, you lose people. They get disengaged. I mean, these are things what happens when you don't have an inclusive environment. So we want to make sure you have good communications. You don't get people who are disengaging. You don't lose innovation and creativity. You don't want to bring your biases in. Even talking about generations is no different than talking about race, gender, sexual identity. So it's really good. If you're leading across generations, just to keep those things in mind. And quickly, I'll just close with a quote. It's not my quote. I don't know whose it is, but I thought it was pretty decent. Intergenerational leadership isn't about age, it's about mindset. When we embrace the strengths of every generation, we build workplaces and communities where everyone thrives. And that word thrive is so important. We don't just want to live, we want to thrive. So, I guess the question is, how can you help bridge the gap? Thank you.
I love that. What an incredible message. Thank you so much, Miss Shelley. That's a testament to the power of intergenerational knowledge. Ms. Shelley has truly set the tone for today, reminding us of the power of leadership, the importance of honoring our roots, and urgency of creating change. So you mentioned the mentor-mentee relationship. We all know who your infamous mentee is, and I believe he's on the call, Mr. Leon Holden. Just want to give you I can't see you right now because I got 3 different monitors going, but just a big shout out to Leon because I know that's the real mentee right there. So thank you again, Miss Shelley. We appreciate you. So we're gonna move on to our panel discussion. Well, actually, individual introductions. These individuals are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they are the change makers of today. They are artists, activists, entrepreneurs, educators, Divine Nine members, and visionaries who are breaking barriers, challenging systems, and redefining what it means to lead. And I'm so proud to know these individuals. I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves, take a few minutes. Courtney's going to go first, and then Jess, and then Omar. So I'm going to queue up their slide. And of course, Omar doesn't have a slide. So everybody who knows Omar, knows that he wouldn't have a slide. So we're going to go right into Courtney. Courtney?
Yes, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. I really appreciate it. And so to just keep it brief, I created just a small little PowerPoint of a slide to give people visuals. But I'm Courtney. I went to Western Kentucky University. I work in higher education between Ithaca College, Cornell, and now TC3. I'm transitioning out from the Division of Student Affairs and Campus Life, now working with the workforce development space with strategic corporate partnerships out at TC3. So you'll see some pictures on the side. Those are my family members. Those are folks who have been a part of my life. I recently became a Fab Five winner about a couple weeks ago. So you see my parents where I'm in the red. That was them who flew down for the day and went back out that Friday to be with me. My parents are from Hampton, Newport News, Virginia. My mom served 30 years in the Army as a retired lieutenant colonel. So my hometown is DC, but was born in Germany. So I have a lot of places that I do call home. A few things about myself as far as hobbies. I love sneakers. I love to travel and I love to watch women's sports. As you see, I'm with Don Staley there. And below, there are my grandparents. And so when we talk about eldership, these are individuals who have lived through civil rights, who have lived through Jim Crow. These are people who have lived a life that I have learned about just through their knowledge. And so a few things that I'm a part of here in Tompkins County to kind of offset some of those things. The Community Foundation, that's where I met Gloria. Recently became a board member for Hammerstone that helps women acclimate themselves back into workforce. And then I attend Calvary Baptist Church and have been there since 2018. So I've been here for about 7 years. And I've been enjoying my time in Tompkins County.
Thank you. Thank you, Courtney. We're going to move on to Jess, and I'm going to queue up Jess's PowerPoint right here. Let's see. Oop, there we go.
Yay! Okay. I did a full PowerPoint because I do too much.
Love it.
My name is Jessica Brock. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Auntie Gloria, for inviting me. You can go ahead and click to the next slide. If you know me, you can call me Jess. If I'm in trouble, call me Jessica. I am a development coordinator and a housing fellow for the Village at Ithaca. Shout out, shout out, shout out. Passionate about supporting youth and families. I also teach choreography for local organizations. So I currently am choreographing for the Ithaca City School District. They're getting ready to do Hadestown. I actually got rehearsal today later on. That'll be showing February 28th through March 2nd. I'll be sharing the details on my personal page and stuff. But I usually choreograph for the Ithaca City School District. I am a step coach for the Breaking Ground Steppers, which is a Village at Ithaca's step team. Shout out, shout out. And I also am a teaching assistant for Ithaca College's African Drumming and Dance Ensemble. I work with Dr. Baruch Whitehead. If y'all know him, y'all know that's Unc. And I am also a choreographer with the Global Creative Family, which is the artist collective that Jiquan is the founder of. Whew. Yeah. Okay, here's some fun facts about me. My faith in God, super important to me, super important to me. I believe that the work that I have been doing in the community would literally be impossible without God. Like, there's no way I've been able to stay up without God in my life. I attend Christian Community Church. That's at the Southside Community Center, Sundays at 10 a.m. if anyone is interested. It's led by Dr. House, who is a professor at Ithaca College as well. So I see stand up tall, period. Another fun fact about me, I'm an actress and a dancer. I received my BFA in acting and a minor in dance from Ithaca College as well. Another fun fact about me, after graduating from Ithaca College, I went to Nickelodeon to do a national tour of Peppa Pig, in which I was casted as the first Black Peppa Pig to tour around the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And that was a time. And my last fun fact out of many is that I am Kenyan and American. So my mom's side of the family is from Nairobi, Kenya. I am from the Kikuyu tribe, and she immigrated over here in her early 20s, and then had my sister come over here, and then had me in Florida. Next slide. Yes, that's my family right there. Okay, so I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. It's like 2 hours north of Orlando. I have been there my entire life. I moved to Kenya for like 3 months, like in one summer, and was like, oh no, like the language barrier. Because I originally had planned to be in Kenya and stay there, but then realized it was too much. So I came back here. I believe that was in middle school in Jacksonville, Florida, to continue out my education. I went to a performing arts high school, Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, where a lot of my Kenyan family had also moved to Jacksonville, Florida, to be able to establish a better education for ourselves. The one who started that is my mom. Mom is the one who is standing above me, top right. Auntie Susan is top left. And then my sister is on the bottom left. Her name is Eunice. And I'm sitting on my shosho, which means my grandmother's lap. Yay! Next slide.
Now y'all see why I love Jess, right? I mean, come on.
It's a time. It's a time. So this is the biggest shout out. Out of all of my jobs, the Village at Ithaca is my main job. We are a youth and family-centered organization in Tompkins County that addresses systemic injustice through responsive anti-racist programming and services to build an equitable, inclusive community. Now, that was founded by Cal Walker and Carl Graham, who are two big pillars and elders in the community. And we are not just an organization that is on the trend of DEI, but we will be diverse, equitable, and inclusive through and through, no matter what happens around us, right? So within this organization, the main two things I really do. The first thing is I am a development coordinator. So very similar to Auntie Gloria, I do a lot of grant writing, as well as connecting with different community partnerships that are able to build the resources for marginalized youth and families to make sure that everyone is getting what they need to be successful in our community. I'm also a housing fellow with the Village House. The Village House is currently a crisis youth shelter that is currently also being funded by the Tompkins County Legislature, which we're very grateful for, and we're also looking for other funding. So if anyone is interested in helping homeless youth from the ages of 16 to 25, feel free to hit me up. People call me a house mom. I feel like a house sister. I don't feel like I'm mom status yet, but I'm on my way, right? But we do video game nights, movie nights. You know, we bring soap and different things in and try to do our best to make sure our youth have what they need to achieve their career and educational based goals. Next slide, please. I promise I'm almost done talking, y'all. I thought we were supposed to do a whole thing. Oh, so these are just pictures. So on the left, it is the Breaking Ground Steppers team. That was like the beginning of the team. In the middle, that's me and G-Quan with the Global Creative Family. G-Quan truly has my heart. That's like an uncle to me. He's really done it up.
All right.
Oh, you're okay.
Oh, no. It's going wacky. Okay, there we go.
And on the right, that's Dr. Whitehead. We recently were funded by the Community Arts Partnership to travel to Ghana to learn about the African diaspora in terms of like West African dance and drumming, which we then brought back to Ithaca. Yes, to partner with Ithaca College and teach the community. So we had community classes in the fall semester and had a big celebration last semester as well. And it was very successful. Oh, and then you told us to come up with a quote. So I picked Galatians 6:9, and let us not grow weary of doing good. For in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And I'll give y'all context for that when we start getting to the questions. But keep that in your head. And then my overall goal. So an overall goal for me is to build my own organization entitled Black Artists United. Black Artists United, while it started at Ithaca College, through the Black Student Union. That was essentially like a group for artists in Dillingham to inspire, grow, and create in one another in times where we didn't feel that sense of community. I now, in graduating, want to aspire to make that bigger. So I want to establish an artist collective and resource center starting here and then building to the entire New York State and eventually to the entire nation to foster a supportive and sustainable environment for all interdisciplinary artists. So getting them the housing tools, the food tools, and everything they need to be able to thrive while deeply impacting the work that they're doing through their art and through their activism. Whew. All right, I think that's my sermon.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, Jess. Round of applause for Jess, y'all. All right. So thank you, Jess, for that. We're going to move on to Omar. Let's see. Let me move this out. All right, Omar, you have the floor.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Omar Stout. I did not prepare slides. If you know me, I like to just talk. I like to interface, and so that's what we're going to do today. And so just a little bit about me. My name is Omar Stout. I'm the Director for Staff Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, the inaugural director in that position. Very proud of that. If you ask anybody who knew me in undergrad, this was my dream job. So quite honestly, I'm trying to figure out what's next. Early accomplishments, and I'm very honored to have this opportunity position. I was raised by two immigrants of Guyana, South America. Both my parents grew up in a colonized country, colonized by the British. Guyana actually received its independence a year after I was born. And so I start off to say that that shapes a lot of my, thank you, brother. I'm dope. You dope too. I'm dope because you dope. But I say that to say a lot of my upbringing was around the importance of education and overcoming obstacles, right? And so my dad's a nurse. My mother was a special education teacher and a teacher in Guyana. And so a lot of my early upbringing was in front of the chalkboard. I hated it. It was a lot, but it's paid its dividends. And so if you were able to take part in any of the Angela Davis events that we had over the weekend, you may have heard me mention that the seeds were planted young. And so I'm very thankful for my parents, the time they spent with me, and their insistence that I listen instead of talk. And so now I'm just going to talk because I had to listen so much growing up. And so I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I came to Ithaca College, planning to be a doctor, right? Yeah, Brooklyn, way up. But I was planning to be a doctor at the time. And school was hard for the first time. I never struggled in school. I didn't have to do anything, any research, any, studying. It just came naturally. But college was a different game. And I learned the hard way that college, for lack of a better term, is kind of rigged, right? There are some people who have those advantages, who have those early lessons. They know about office hours. They know about, how to navigate a syllabus. And they have that from their parents, their older cousins, their older sisters. And they knew to ask questions. I was an HLP student, and so people gave me the heads up, but I wasn't listening, right? We'll see that theme a lot. I was under the impression that I could just figure it out. And after the end of my first semester, I was about to fail. And someone gave me the advice, go talk to your professor and just, get some advice and see what you should do to improve your grades. And this person, right, about 2 minutes into this meeting was like, well, maybe it's not for you, right? Just figure something else out. And I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the first time that anyone has ever told me that I couldn't do something. And so I took to reflect. I dropped out, or I didn't drop. I took a leave of absence with the intention of dropping out, and figuring out whether I'd be joining the Navy, just getting a job, or do something different. And somewhere along those lines, I think in talking to my cousin, I'll give her that credit. I decided that no one's going to write my story but me, right? And I say that often, right? My story's not over yet. This is a footnote. When I get through this, the tale's going to be beautiful, right? And so I ended up coming back to Ithaca College and changing my major after trying a couple of new things on and realizing that I had a love of HR because I really love working with people. I love helping people and I love solving problems. And what I thought was driving me to medicine was actually my dad. I love you, Daddy. But what was driving me towards that goal, what I thought was my ultimate driver was my love of supporting folk. Um, and through that, I ended up taking classes and exploring all the different ways that I could help folks using the talents that God has given me, my voice, my mind, right? And so I became a communications major. I'm graduating of the Park School, and that's why I didn't make any slides today. I'm slided out. I'm not going to make any more slides unless I'm getting paid to make those slides. Love you, Gloria. Um, and so, and so I really started to blossom in that program, and I started to figure out, how easy school could be when you started taking advantage of those resources, and start talking to people and asking for help, right? And my ultimate struggle was no longer school; it was navigating all the other things that come with being young and Black, right? And all the extracurricular things. My mother passed during the time that I was in school. And once again, a lot of people thought that meant that I was going to drop out, right? But no one's going to write my story but me. And so it took a lot to get through, but ultimately the end of the tale is going to be honoring my mother, right? And making sure that I graduated as she wanted me to graduate, to get that degree as she divined for me. I'm the first in my family to get that 4-year degree, something that we're all very proud of and something that we share together. Um, and so after college, kind of bounced around trying to figure out what my 9 to 5 would be, and ended up right back here at Ithaca College, in the provost office, where fortunately it's surrounded by a lot of great people, but another powerful Black woman, Dr. LaJearne Terry Cornish, who created a culture in which I thrived and allowed me to explore and try new things and test on different talents. I ended up in Title IX. And if you're not familiar with Title IX, it's a federal law that says we shouldn't discriminate against people based on their sex or gender. But where I really tried to focus in, and I hope I was successful in that, was highlighting the disproportionate responses, the disproportionate utilization of the system between women of color and white women, right? And so all the statistics tell us that women of color are more likely to experience sexual violence, but for some reason they weren't reporting. And that became a calling of sorts, right? In that job, but also from my career, right? If no one else is going to talk about it, I will. If no one else is going to do something about it, what can I do? And I think some of the questions will allow me to further illustrate. But this is the way in which I'm trying to lead my life, right? I'm not all things. I can't be all things to all people. There are some things that I can do very well, and I will do that when called upon and where reasonable and where possible. But sometimes I just need to get out the way, right? And stand in front of somebody, shelter a blow, or prop somebody up so they can do that thing way better than I can. And so I encourage you all to engage today. I love questions and I love engaging one-on-one. Some other things that I do in the community, I'm the chair of Family Children's Board of Ithaca. I am also the chair of Alternative Federal Credit Union. I think Leon has put me on the DCTC chair. Right, I think so. I think so. And I'm doing some other things as well. I'm also a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And there's lots of things, lots of opportunities for me to engage with you all. But I find that I have my most thrilling successes when I'm doing what other people won't do or can't do. Because I think that's where I'm most useful.
I love that.
Gloria, just to clear up any confusion, he is definitely on the DCTC
Oh,
board.
definitely.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's not,
Not that
let's
part.
not get that twisted.
Let's not get that twisted. All right. So I'm going to, let's see, stop presentation mode here. I'd like to thank my panelists for letting us know a little bit about them. Now you see why they are so dope, right? These folks are amazing. So today's discussion, we're going to talk about how our panelists connect their work to the legacy of Black leadership, the challenges that they face, and their vision for the future. They share their personal journeys, lessons learned, and the wisdom they're carrying forward from those who came before them. And so we appreciate that. We're going to get right into the panel. I'm going to ask questions to certain panelists. We understand that in the interest of time, it's 12:46. We are way over time. So we might go over, but if you need to hop off at 1 o'clock, I completely understand. This is being recorded, so you can always come back and join us later. We're not going to take it personal, but we are going to finish. So if you need to hop off, that's totally fine. So my first question is going to Omar and then Jess. Many of our ancestors, like Harriet Tubman, Angela Davis, which was just here, Fannie Lou Hamer, dedicated their lives to justice and liberation. How has their work influenced your journey as a leader? Omar and then Jess.
I'll start off by saying props to Black women. You know what I mean? And so, I am fortunate to be surrounded by so much love from Black women. And I'll just give the quick anecdote that, after my mother passed, my aunties were the first people to come and say, you still have a mother, right? You still have us. You can come to us with whatever you need. But I am not without a lot of love because other women that are not my family by blood, my best friend, one of my best friends, Ahmad, his mom came and told me the same thing, Miss Linda. I have lots of people in this community that look out for me, and that's something that I think about when I think about our ancestors, right? Who did what they did because no one else was going to do it, right? Because they could do it. I think about the real struggles that they had. You mentioned Harry Tubman, Dr. Angela Davis, who we just had here, and Fannie Lou Hamer. They were receiving death threats. They were under, constant surveillance. They were being criticized, sometimes by their own people inside, but they stood on what was right. And so what I take from that is to be morally sound and to stand on my principles, right? I often say that I'm young and dumb enough to get fired, right? Maybe I'm young, Black, and dope enough to get fired. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to stand for what's right. I don't have kids to worry about. I don't have to focus so hard on the bills right now. I do want to pay them. But if standing on the principle is the thing that's going to get me ostracized or fired, right now I'm okay with that. Check in with me like 35 years, right? When I got a mortgage and all that stuff. But right now I'm okay with that. And I often remind myself that this is not the worst time. And I've been saying that a lot. It was really bleak in those first couple of weeks after the elections. But I quickly was roused by the helpful recollection that we've been through this before, and we've overcome. And so this might be a setback, but I mean, I'm not done. We're not done just yet.
Right, right, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Omar. Our ancestors, they have faced systemic barriers that in many ways still persist today, like you said, and many of us do feel that responsibility to continue that work, the work of those who came before us. Jess.
Yeah, that was beautifully said, Omar. I would say for me, it's really inspiring to know that the heroes that have come before us, our ancestors that have come before us, have been those who have worked on their word. It wasn't just conversation. It was, I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, and that's gonna get us to move forward. I feel like a lot of times within our county and also within this generation, there was like a lot of like, let's talk. Like, especially in 2020. It was like, oh, people are realizing that racism is real. Can we talk about it? We could talk about it, but then do what about it? Like, what I'm loving is that we're like, our generation has started protesting. Our generation has started questioning things. We make group, we organize, we create community around the things that we see are right to then be able to like move to the next step. Like, something I'm very passionate about right now is our youth who are homeless right now. And there's been a lot of conversation on how do we take care of them. We take care of them by raising the money getting them together to see what they need, ask them what they need, to then go and buy it, to then go and do it. So it's not just conversation with those who are privileged enough to have conversation, because some people don't have the time to just talk. We can talk, but then we got to move with it. That's something that Harriet Tubman did. Then we're talking about freedom, freedom, freedom. You can talk about freedom to the day you die, but until you take that step forward, what does your freedom look like to you? What does your freedom cost you? Does it cost you your first step? If so, that's the step you got to take. And that's what I love about our community and what I love about our ancestors who came before us.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jess and Omar, for that. Your generation is definitely a generation of movers and doers. I'll tell you that much for sure. All right, so our next question is for Courtney and then Omar. Have you received any advice from an elder or mentor that has shaped your leadership style? How do you carry that wisdom into your work today? We're going to start with Courtney.
Of course, I love my elders. They are books that were never written. They have the literature and they have the knowledge that may not ever get published that, is for them, for us. But the world has been my classroom. Like I said, I grew up in a military family. I literally lived everywhere. And so the way in which I experienced Blackness, it didn't look exactly like everyone else's. It kind of looked a little bit like, just a variety of diversity and inclusion. The advice that I received to even shape my leadership style is this is all business, right? Thinking about the brand of America, thinking about the mindsets that people have. How do you, and this is something my mother always says, is take advantage of what's taking advantage of you, right? And so thinking more critically about how you can be involved, not just to particularly serve one community, but communities that need and or have or go through the same types of things, as we all share the same oppressor, right? And so when it comes to those things, I've been looking at this world through literature. Like Isabel Wilkerson is a wonderful elder who I read her books, or a book that she has written called Caste, that perfectly describes kind of what our nation was built on. And that's something that, we're not able to fake and or not acknowledge, as it has been interwoven into the work that we do. And so thinking about the privileges that I've even had as not a first generation student, I came from a two-parent background who are still living and still thriving and have seen the world in different ways. Thinking about how I choose to transform the thinking of people, also understanding and accepting that some folks may never change their mind. And so instead of being stressed and over worried, keep it pushing, keep it moving, because that's something that my mom specifically has always said, which I didn't always understand. And I think even now, as I'm 31, it's been working smarter and not harder, thinking differently about how to fight the good fight. And so for myself, it may not look like a protest, but it could look like serving on boards that I always encourage my peers to join, because I think knowledge is power and you can't talk about what you don't know if you're not there. And so those are some of the things that my elders have always shared about playing the game where it's played, right? Because those rules always change for a little bit of everybody. And so if we can all just take a moment to, take a look at ourselves and how we position our choices, right? And how we choose to work together or not, right? Like think about how those positions and how your thoughts are then leading transformational experiences. And if not, that may be something that you have to think about.
Thank you so much for that, Courtney. Books that were never written. I'm going to use that. I love that so much. Work smarter, not harder. You cannot say that enough. Cannot say that enough. Omar?
I tried to get one. I couldn't. I got three. I'm sorry. I'll try to make them real quick. So the quick anecdote, growing up, my dad used to make me wear long johns. And, one day some kids saw my long johns and I came home crying. I was like, Dad, they were making fun of my long johns. They was, saying all this nasty stuff. And he said, "Are you warm?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm very warm, actually." And he said, "Then why do you care?" And what that taught me was to once again stand on your principles, right? You don't have to take everything that somebody says about you and hold that and carry that, right? It's okay to be a unique individual, and to be warm. The second thing that I'll say is we had a general counsel here, Nancy Pringle, and her last year was my first year. And on her last day of her tenure here, and on the last day of my first year, I asked her, "How do I get to where you are?" And she told me to keep smiling. And at that time, I thought it was like a really cheeky response and, just advice you give everybody. But as I've gone through this work, I can see how tiresome it can be. And so that's why you'll see me all the time. I'll make a joke out of anything. I'll always be smiling. So much so that when I'm not smiling because I'm eating or something, people are like, "What's wrong with you?" But nothing's wrong. You just see the character that I'm trying to bring to work in every space. Life is too short to be sad about it. We're not going to get through this work without hard work. But that doesn't mean it can't be fun and we can't be jovial while we're doing it. And the last thing people tell me all the time, right? Listen, and I'm thinking about a couple of my, colleagues here who are telling me to ask questions before I react. I'm thinking about Dr. Davis, who was here and spoke about how boring it would be to be around people who think exactly like you. There's always something to learn. There's always something to pick up. And these are the things that I try to intertwine into my practice, whether at work or in the community. I'm going to smile and get through it. We are going to smile and get through it. And it's going to take work, but we're going to do it together. And the best thing I can do is learn from you if I'm trying to change anything with you.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Those are strong and powerful lessons. Stand on your principles, keep smiling, listen with intent. I love that. I love that. All right, so our next question is for Jess and then Courtney. James Baldwin once said, "To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time." How do you balance the emotional weight of leadership with the need for self-care and joy? We're going to start with Jess.
Now, this is something I'm still learning for real. But I could say in my process of learning, something that helps me is really my faith in God. Something, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. Like, I feel like the type of work this is like God work. And it's hard to do God work without God in my head because these are like everyone who we take care of in our retrospective groups or whatever, like there is a heart that you need to have for people because everyone has a different background, a different life. Like we don't know where people come from. We are introduced in people's stories, like for only if but a moment, whether that's like a 5 minute meeting, an hour meeting such as this, or like for a journey, like if they're going to school and like we're knowing them for like 4 to 5 years or whatever that means. But in that time, you have to have a heart for people to care about them so much, to love them so much, to be patient and kind and caring. And for me, when I feel that kind of like, oh God, like I'm carrying the weight of a good 4 to 5 people. It's like I need to go to the person who created them and who created me for that restoration, for the ability to be able to let my cup be filled when I continue to pour out into the community. And I know that looks different for everyone because not everyone believes in God, right? So I guess it's really about like what fills your cup. What is the thing that is going to be able to keep you in the momentum? And I think that's why I brought up that Bible verse as well. Let us not get weary in doing good, for in due time we will reap if we continue. You know what I mean? Like we just have to continue to strive even when we're feeling weary. Like let's not get weary of doing good because we're not looking at the now, we're looking ahead. We're looking at the future. We're looking at not only who I'm going to impact, but then the person that they're going to impact. And it's going to grow and grow and grow. But if I get tired, who is going to pick up after me? I'm so grateful for my elder. I'm grateful for you, Auntie Gloria, and for you, Shelly, and for Dr. Nia, and for Meryl, and for all these people, and for Miss Millie, and for Omar, Leon, Courtney, like everyone in this chat, because y'all are going to be able to then take everything from this conversation and share it and spread it and spread it and spread it. So even when I do like, oh, I need to take a knee real quick, Auntie Gloria got me. Omar got me. Courtney got me. Dr. Nia got me. Meryl got me. Like that keeps me able. That keeps me able to flow and flow. That way I could go to church on Sunday, reset, and come out ready to do a new week. And that's how I feel about it.
Oh, I love that, Jess. You give me so
Oh,
much energy, girl. It don't even make sense. Whatever fills your cup, whatever fills your cup. I love that. And this work is not made for everyone. Not everyone can do what you do, Jess, or what you do, Omar, or what you do, Courtney. I feel like rest is a form of resistance, and taking care of ourselves is part of the fight. And we have to. And again, whatever fills your cup. Thanks so much for that, Jess. Courtney?
Yes, I feel you just when you say that. Believe it or not, I have a lot of venting sessions over the phone with my mother. She always tells me that I was born in the wrong generation. Even so much where, for an example, I may read books like Cass. That was my last book that I read. I had to put it down for a few months because it was just doing something to my spirit. So all truthful things. But I think the biggest thing is I don't argue with folk. I don't try to change the minds of people. I recognize that people are going to be who they are. And so for that, I meet them where they are, and I'm in control of what I choose to receive, accept, and or not. Um, what I travel as well. I hang out with my friends, and truly life is really to be lived. Like I said, my parents have deployed to Afghanistan and all types of stuff. They've been in places where they may not have come back, right? And so for me, I look at life very different. Every day that we wake up is a blessing. Every day that we have the privilege of breathing, every day that we have the privilege of just feeling our hands, our feet, and things, for me, that's enough. And so, every day that the Lord is waking us up or waking me up, um, that's what I use as a tool and as fuel. And so again, it is disheartening to see the things that are going on, but this is, like I said, very on brand for things that have happened in the past. And until we get it right, I think it'll always be this way. And I also just try to change my mindset, similar to what Omar said. If we didn't have these problems, if we all thought alike, I don't think we'd be able to do the hard work, right? I don't think we would be able to utilize our gifts. I think adversity has to happen in a way to create these types of conversations that we're having now. And so I try not to be upset. I try not to, like I said, stress myself out because that's the new cancer. So is sugar, right? And so thinking about ways in which I can work smarter, not harder, and learn something new, but also have a safe space to where when I need to not be as professional as I am now, I have that, and that my words are kept safe.
Right. So leaning on community and collective care, I think is also really important. And let me tell you, if I leaned into don't try to change people's minds, do you know how many arguments I could have stayed away from?
Yeah, no need
Lord,
to argue. It takes years off your life, gives you a
it
headache.
takes
I know it does for me.
energy. Yes. And life is to be lived, and every day is a blessing. Thank you for those words, Courtney. All right, our next question is for Omar. If you could have a conversation with an ancestor from the past, who would it be and what would you ask them? And tell me a little bit about that conversation.
Yeah, I think so first I'm gonna put her aside. I would ask Harriet Tubman how she did it and why she went back so many times. That would just be an interesting conversation to me. Just it's amazing to me when I think about what that is. But I think in this particular moment, I'd ask Muhammad Ali, how he kept smiling and joking and just being himself when everybody, it seemed like, just disagree with him, right? And his legacy has left us such a powerful example. But I would want to know a bit about that, right? If I'm like Courtney, I don't argue, and I try to remember that when I'm having those back and forths, that takes energy, and it's a power exchange that maybe I don't need to get myself involved in. And so choosing those battles correctly. But for someone who battled for a living, how did you know what battles to pick? And I think he'd have some kind of rhyme for me, but
Yeah.
um, I just that's a conversation I'd love to have at some point.
Love that. That's an incredible question to ask Muhammad Ali for sure. And Harriet Tubman. I always said, even as a little girl, I always wanted to know, why did she keep coming back so many times? She wasn't scared? Obviously wasn't. Thanks so much for that, Omar. My next question, and for anyone who needs to hop off, please feel free to hop off, and then you can come back to our website at cftompkins.org and view the recording. Our next question is for Courtney. Courtney, our ancestors fought to break down barriers in education, politics, and business. As a young leader today, what barriers are you working to dismantle?
Yeah, it's so many. I don't even know if I'm trying to dismantle. I want to use a different word. I think I'm trying to transform because I think the system and the ways that they're built was designed exactly how we're experiencing them for a particular reason. And so I know earlier I said, I don't argue and I try not to nitpick at people's minds, but I try to mirror that common sense piece back with folks. I ask a lot of questions about like, how did you get here? Tell me more about your life story that may have shaped your narrative, right? And helping folks experience people differently because that's where it starts when it comes down to working with like bias, for an example. When it comes down to working through stereotypes, we get it. Like life has happened to a lot of folks, right? And you may have that one thing that just transforms your entire world, but it also takes a different experience. And so, for me, I don't think it's dismantled, but definitely provide a different experience that would shape change in a way that people can digest and comprehend that. Because I know that we're all starting from different places, right? That also helps me to continue to learn because I am starting from a different generation where a lot of the things that we're experiencing are from way back that still have a lot of implications today. So for myself, like I said, just being involved really in all places and all things, right? That I feel I have a strong calling to, which is education, being one that then leads into policy. So that's a big thing as well. And then also just learning the business of how these things work, dollars and cents, they make policy. And so how do I then infiltrate in those places?
Perfect. I love that. Being involved in all things, doing what you can, wherever you can do it. Breaking down barriers is never a solo effect. It's never something that you do by yourself. And I'm sure you're working with lots of, other groups, your friends, your colleagues, whether in the community, your industry, or broader environment. Just want to say that we see you, Courtney, and we see everything that you are doing, sis. My next question is for Jess. In a world that often tries to define Blackness in limiting ways, what does being young, Black, and dope mean to you?
Good question. Um, to be young, Black, and dope is to move when the spirit says move. Shout out. To that effect too, it's also about doing it together. I think with our generation, it's very much like, I got it, I, me, I. Something I'm learning, it has to be a we. And that's something that Dr. Angela Davis had said during her during the times when she was at Cornell and Ithaca College as well. When you're one person standing in front of a group of 5, it's not gonna do nothing. But if you're in a group of 500, 5,000 against 5, or standing in front of 5, that's when the spirit moves. You know what I mean? When Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, it was a movement. They were walking around that wall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? It takes a group. It takes all of us. Shout out to Dr. Nia. All of us. Look, we can't do that by ourselves. We can't do this work by ourselves. And we can't just sit around and talk about it either. We all need to collectively stand up and move when the spirit says move, to have a collective goal so that every day we're taking steps forward, right? If that means connecting with each other, stopping by each other's office to see, where are people at? Like, Omar, Cordy, I can stop by your offices if y'all say it's okay. I would love to stop by and just see where y'all are at, see what the communities are doing. Let's connect the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. So we're not doing the same things just in different sectors. We need to come together to be able to take care of each other. Because if it's just one person doing the work or one organization doing the same work as the other organization just on two different hills, what is that gonna do for what are we gonna do for each other? How are we gonna move together? We gotta do it, everybody, step by step. Move when the spirit says move, so that when we do it, it's collected. Even if that means doing it in a different way. If Caleb's doing a mural, dope. The village house will be doing one thing. Dr. Nia Michelli doing one thing. Leon will do one thing. We'll all do it. We'll all do it and come together to be able to bridge the gaps that we're seeing in our community. But we can't do it with just one. Yeah, it's got to be all of us. And that's my 2 cents.
I love it. And that's my 2 cents. Oh, I love that. Move when the spirit says move. Yes, Jess, it has to be a we. I love that. Mainstream narratives often try to put Black identity into a box, but we don't fit in a box, do we? Being young, Black, and dope is not just personal, it's a collective, just as you said. So I do have a couple other questions, but I'm going to skip my questions and I'm going to open it up for questions from our audience and those that are on this call. So maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll kind of close it out. If anyone has a question, you could just come right off of mute. Well, Jan says, Jess, Courtney, and Omar, thank you for your faith and spirit and optimism. May your heart stay strong and your courage endure. What an exciting message you brought to this session. I just want to say that Jan is one of my favorite people in Tompkins County, and she says that I say that to everybody, but trust and believe that I do not. But Jan is everything. Jan, you are dope as they come. So does anyone just come right off of mute and ask your question? Anyone come right off mute? We'll wait about 30 seconds.
I have a question, Gloria.
Yes.
What is old dope? You said I was dope. Is there another word for old dope?
Dope, what dope used to mean was it was like crack cocaine.
Oh,
Dope.
okay. I'm crack?
It used to be no, I mean Jan, you better stop playing with me.
I am. Okay. I'm going now. Now, this was great. This was really terrific. I'm so glad I had an opportunity to hear these speakers and truly young leaders.
Thank you so much.
We're in good hands.
We have another elder on the call, Miss Millie. Miss Millie, do you want to say a couple words? You know we love you, Miss Millie. I call her Millie Rock.
Thank you, Gloria. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just want to say that these 3 people brought tears to my eye because I know that they have not only the talent, but they have the drive and the passion to move us forward. And I'm very proud. They are more than dope. And when Sister Jess said move, when the Spirit says move, I said, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yes, and we do need to make that connection from hill to hill and from side to side, that we're duplicating a lot of things that we could be joint. And I like it when you're at the table. Yes, Courtney laid it out. You have to be seen. You have to be at that table. I don't care what the situation is. Even if you come with 50 cents or $1, you still have to be at the table. Like Shirley Chisholm said, if you're not at the table, then bring a folding chair. You need to be there. So I'm proud. I'm glad you're recording this because a lot of people, I'm retired, so I can stay on as long as I want. Okay. But it's recorded and I'll share it. But I'm proud of all 3 of them. And I know that there are other young people like Rosanna Malone. There are other young people who are leaders. They may not be leaders out front, but they may be leaders from behind. So the embrace is wonderful.
That's right.
We need to own our own building. So all these wonderful ideas, that's something that I brought forth to the business leader of colors. We need to own So Connect and all these wonderful things that these wonderful leaders, the brother Omar, who has expertise in communication, we have, and we also need to tell our story, not somebody writing our story. He's right. We need to tell our own story.
That's right.
And we need to educate the young folks of all the opportunities, because sometimes I get so upset when I get on the bus and I see kids of color who look like me at Cornell. And when you say hello to them, they look at you like you're an alien. So we got our work cut out for us. So thank you, Sister Gloria, for the opportunity. I am so proud. I am very proud of the community school, the music of the community school foundation. And I'm also connected to community arts and music. And Sister Megan, she's doing a great job over there. So there are lots of talent there. So thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to say something.
Thank you so much, Millie. And let me tell you something. When an elder speaks, we listen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Millie, for those words. I appreciate that. And Rosanna, I see you, Rosanna.
Rosanna's on the line. Yeah,
That's
she's
right.
a leader.
Rosanna's up and coming. She's coming
up and coming.
Yes, absolutely. Does anyone have anything, any last minute sentiments, any comments before we close this out? Again, this is being recorded. I'm going to send the recording out to everyone who was on the line, and that way you can share it with whomever you want to share it with. But any last minute sentiments, anyone? Tylee, do you want to share something about an event that you are a part of in a couple days? Tylee, do you want to talk about that for like 30 seconds?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be doing a keynote address up at IC, but I guess the MLK scholars will be doing a presentation right before that. We'll have some performance from our Amy Zion band. So come out and check it out this Thursday, 6 to about 9 p.m. In Emerson Suites.
Perfect. 6 to 9 p.m. Emerson Suites. All right. Well, if no one has anything else, Caleb, I see you. You ain't say a word today, but I do see you. Hearing from our panelists has reinforced the importance of amplifying young Black voices and ensuring that they have the support and resources and platforms they need to thrive. I just want to thank each and every single one of you for your honesty, your vulnerability, for sharing your stories, your brilliance, your unwavering commitment, for making a difference, all the wonderful things. I have a personal relationship with each of you in our own special way. And notice that Jess calls me auntie. I am her auntie and I will do anything for her. Courtney is my sister. I'll do anything for her. Omar is my brother. You already know. I'll call him O. The world tries to limit our Black identity, but we continue to redefine and expand it. And that is what our ancestors have expected of us, and that's what we continue to do. This gives me the most pride about being unapologetically Black. And that is what I hold on dear to. I'm going to be unapologetically who I am. And so as we come to a close of this program, we hope that you leave feeling a little inspired, empowered, knowing a little bit more about our panelists and listening to our elders, Miss Shelley and Miss Millie. Let's continue to show up for each other. Let's continue to mentor, to collaborate, to connect, and create these spaces where Black excellence can thrive, because this is exactly what it is. This is exactly what we saw. Whether you're an aspiring leader yourself or someone who wants to support the next generation, we all have a role to play in this movement. So I encourage you to stay connected to us. The Community Foundation, cftompkins.org is where you'll find ways that you can connect with us, our site visits. I'm just going to put a plug out there and say we do have a site visit coming up on Friday. We're visiting Racker. If you're interested in going on that site visit, you can join us. We encourage you to come in. Finally, I just want to say a huge thank you to my panelists and my speaker, Michelle, and each and every single one of you for being part of this celebration. Your presence, your energy, and your commitment to this work matters. And I thank you all so much for being here, and I look forward to connecting again with you all soon. Take good care. Have a great afternoon.